Hello! Welcome back to another episode on MegStories. If you like what you see, please like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on new content. My suspicion is that my wife cheated on me with her cousin. Okay, this is going to be lengthy, so please be patient. About 2 weeks ago, this happened, and I went from completely believing her to seriously doubting her. When I was 19, I met my wife, and we fell in love right away. Since I've known her, the father of the 4-month-old child she had from a prior relationship has not been involved. I've wanted to be a parent since I was a little child, but adoption worked well for me because I don't want to pass on my genetic disease. Anyway, ever since then, we've been exactly like your typical family. Our marriage ended last year. Although she never really had a close relationship with her family, she did have 2 cousins that she was always kind of close to, and I had a great time getting to know them. They seem like good people. She did say that one of them, Max, as we'll name him, attempted to kiss her when they were about 12 or 13, but she sprinted away. When I questioned her whether she had ever told anyone, she replied that she just thought it was a dumb child. Every year around Christmas, we get to visit him, and he seems like a regular guy. Since he's grounded and her family is made up of stuffed shirts, I really liked him. They have recently gotten back in touch and attended a few family gatherings. He picked her up and drove her to these places since we only have 1 car and I needed it for work. Since they are cousins, nothing about this appeared out of the usual. Her behavior actually didn't change all that much. But one night while I was watching TV, she came in and said something about how I had become friends with a female at work. A friend request was granted. Since we're a fairly open couple, most things don't bother us. She may make crude remarks about a handsome man, for example, and I wouldn't think twice about telling her that this woman was the new office. Although she didn't accuse me of cheating, I had the uneasy feeling that she was going to do so. I bring this up because I've seen cheaters claim that their relationship is a projection or something similar. All in all, these family vacations were real. The wife emails pictures from the trips, and the entire family shares pictures of them on Facebook. After the first 2 of these incidents, the wife appeared to be a robot when she returned home. Sex was normal, if not quieter than usual, but she frequently has colds because of her sadness. So when I inquired if she was okay, she explained it away. Since it was my day off, I did some housework, dropped the boy off at school, and returned home to check my email 2 weeks ago when she left for work. I noticed that her cousin had sent me a message on Facebook. I believed he was responding to me after we had recently talked about seeing a farm team baseball game. It was confusing to me until I noticed that the message was from my wife, who was still logged in, and it said, "I'd like to see you on your knees." I desired to murder him. I quickly went back and perused their chat log, which was full of him making advances on her. She was also saying very thin no's, as if she were just saying no because she had to and not because she wanted to, while also saying things like, "But I'm married," and "No, I'm married." It completely disgusts and floored me. I can't precisely say she's cheating though, because none of them indicate anything happening yet, and she is politely rejecting him. And I question her about the matter after our son has been put to bed, and she gets home, she immediately starts crying uncontrollably. She and I both experienced childhood sexual abuse from family friends. As a result, we both underwent years of therapy and have very good communication skills when it comes to comfort, boundaries, and how to express ourselves about unwanted advances. Saying things like, "I didn't do anything. I didn't know how to tell you. I was just hoping he stopped. I want to believe that she's a nice person and that he's just acting weird. But the fact she hasn't told me and has continued to act normally makes me think there's more going on." I told her I thought she was telling the truth and asked if she would rather tell him and handle it alone, or if I could message him to tell him to back off and how disgusted I am that they are cousins. At first, she said that she would tell him that she knew and that he shouldn't call her, but her confidence in this situation crumbled. Even though I was upset about it, I kept it to myself and assured her that I would offer him some peace of mind since I knew she wouldn't. This is my wife. I messaged him, he saw it, but didn't respond. If she's being harassed, I will stop it. If not, she's cheating on me. The wife claims I should have let her handle things, but I made it clear to her that I could not remain silent in the face of this. She ultimately acknowledged that I was probably correct to address him because she was clueless. She appeared to comprehend. Everything appeared to be back to normal. But when I get home 3 days later, she is sobbing. We resumed our conversation about me not standing by while someone is harassing my wife. She gave me a quick glance. Not much, but it gave me the impression that she didn't think it was harassment. I ask her what's wrong, and she says, "It's Max. You should have let me handle it. I messaged him yesterday, and he won't talk to me." We both agree at the end of the talk that I handled it like any other man would have. 2 days later, after finishing up some work, I'm going to bed quite late, like 2 in the morning. I hear her laughing a little bit while talking on the phone. This isn't how things usually work. Told me it was her mother and had to do with our child's birthday, which I declined to purchase. However, at this point, I have started acting foolish in order to watch the scenario from a position where she feels at ease. She starts weeping the following day, and by now I'm pretty tired of her because she hasn't been steady for the past 2 weeks. She says she tried calling to apologize for not addressing the problem herself, and that Max is still not talking to her when I question if this is about him again. Admittedly, I lost my cool. I informed her that I had discovered their infidelity and that anyway, he was mistreating her. Tonight, obviously, on the couch. I'm not a stupid person, but I wanted to trust her. As it feels more and more like this, I'm basically just lying here with my finger on the trigger, waiting for some firm confirmation before unleashing a 95,000 megaton nuclear grenade on the two of them. I apologize for the length. I'm at a loss for what to do next. I appreciate all the feedback. In 6 hours, she leaves for work. I will invite her to have a conversation with me tonight and apologize for my outburst. It's Sunday, and every other Sunday, our son usually spends the night with my parents. I feel it's in my best interest to snoop around. I'm not proud of it. We'll talk about what happened when it first started, what I can do to support her, and what we should do going ahead if I find nothing. I adore her, and it pains me to think that someone who should be her lover is harassing her. If, on the other hand, I discover something obscene or discover that she was involved in any way, I will end our relationship. In cases of adultery, I don't think marriage counseling is appropriate. And even if I had engaged in incest, I could never look at her the same way again. We'll provide an up. I made breakfast when she got up yesterday night because I didn't get any sleep at all. I told her that I shouldn't have gotten so worked up and that we ought to get together tonight to discuss things. She acknowledged that she had probably been acting inappropriately and stated that she wasn't even unhappy at all. I informed her that because he is a family member, the harassment she was facing was much more challenging. All she seemed to do was agree with me. I wasn't going to snoop, but a lot of people on this forum advised me I should. So I checked her emails anyway since I didn't want to be accused of not following their advice. I had less cause for suspicion, given the way she was acting this morning, but I decided to act suspiciously anyway because, well, what the heck. My level of revulsion, loathing, and wrath is indescribable, and a divorce is inevitable. When I opened the yummy email, I saw a photo of her cousin with semen all over his face. He is telling her about his interactions with gay males he has met at random in the back and forth. They discuss their former sex experiences together, including posting a picture of a strap-on dildo with the phrase, "I still have our old friend." After that, I read some utterly repulsive trash between them in which she acts very domineeringly and makes fun of the size of his penis. I see that this was done a year ago when I look at the dates. As I read on, I can infer that they used to hook up frequently, but stopped when we got married, at least based on what I can read. Before getting married, we spent a number of years together. Subsequently, she begins to use the "I'm married" excuse, but it sounds like he's just sticking up for her, even if he undoubtedly still does. When I'm raising her fucking child, she treats me like this. I've squandered the last 6 years adjusting work schedules and turning down higher-paying positions so that I may spend more time with him. After calling my brother and describing the whole situation, I went outside and sat on the front porch. I then begged him to take my gun away from me for the time being. I've never been violent, but in my current state, I alternate between wanting to kill him and wanting to kill myself. I don't think I will, but I feel like I'm about to lose it, and I don't think I'll act like a responsible adult. I'm going to be packing my bags and heading into a hotel after this. I have copied out all of these chats, sent copies to myself, and am currently searching for more dirt in my spare time. Purchased a pack of cigarettes. 4 years ago, I gave up smoking. And yeah, based on these fucking filthy back and forths, part of his shtick is having unprotected sex with these men. I have to schedule an appointment at some STD clinic. Since my soon-to-be ex-wife has a device, I have never once worn protection with her over the years. I know that testing for AIDS take months, so it looks like I have months of gnawing my fingernails ahead of me. I used to work for the same company as him, so I have a fair idea of his work schedule. Perhaps I might drive down to see his wife and gather my thoughts before I check in. This cannot be fixed. There is no treatment, no hope, nothing constructive, and I have no desire to even consider an apology. She will receive nothing from my divorce from the whore. Right now, I detest life. I haven't cried. I don't feel melancholy or sad. All I have is this burning ball of wrath in my chest that the cigarettes only momentarily soothe. I know I stated I'm not violent, but man, I really want to beat the living hell out of them both. I can't be around her or him. Last-minute revision. I've had 2 real-life friends approach me regarding my initial post, so this will be my last update. I feel extremely awkward sharing this with anyone but strangers on the internet. I will thus take a day or so to answer to comments once this is posted before permanently deleting this account. For these reasons, it was meant to be a one-time thing anyway. It has been a very stressful and dismal last week and a half. I don't know why it took me so long to get sick of it, but the fresh information my ex-partner told me about her connection with Max started eating me alive in the days after my last update. I began to see them slinking away whenever I turned my back, and I came to terms with the notion that she was never really mine and that I was only here as a babysitter and stand-in guy to hide her toxic connection. Upon its conclusion, I arrived at the conclusion that I will no longer live my life in constant reflection of hers. Naturally, this implies that following the divorce, I won't be pursuing a connection of any kind with her son. It's the worst sensation I've ever experienced. But if I can't go past her shadow, I don't think I'll ever be able to move on and live my life fully. He's still young, I'm still young, and it will take years for us to heal from this. I know a lot of you don't want to hear me say this. For the past 4 days, Sherry's life has been an absolute nightmare. She was relieved to finally see her family in all of this. Her brother had arrived earlier in the week. He surmised that we were seeing each other when she introduced me as Max's ex-husband and said that we had been helping each other through this. I told him that we had that same chat and that's why we're going gentle. He pulled me aside, as I would have expected any big brother to do, and voiced concerns that she might be launching into things too soon. I informed him that I admired his sister and that the main reason we started dating was because I knew she was hurting from the same affair and had no support in the area. So I felt we could relate to each other. I also informed him that her healing should come first, not just for her but also for her daughter, and that if they felt it was best for her to return home, I wouldn't stand in her way. He and I got along as well as could be anticipated after that. Max is in the intensive care unit. Sherry receives a call from the hospital just as things start to turn around. He took a dangerously high dose of antifreeze, but the reasons are still questionable because he didn't leave a note. Suicide isn't out of the question, of course, given the drama and humiliation of his affair being found. But who among the many people who have considered suicide has thought of a method like this? As I previously stated, there were rumors that he was taking drugs, thus accidental poisoning cannot be ruled out. Regardless, Sherry is experiencing extreme guilt over this, even if it may not be justified. Max's parents asked Sherry whether she would consider making amends with him after previously criticizing him globally. She claimed to have informed them that she would think about it, but only because she didn't want to witness their continued suffering. He's been in the intensive care unit for 5 days as of this writing. I'm not familiar with all the medical jargon, but there's a fear about crystal deposits in the brain edema. During his first round of treatment, he suffered a heart attack, and to be honest, nothing seems to be going well for him. Sherry informed me that even in the unlikely event that they are able to save him, the extent of his brain injury will have a permanent negative influence on him. I can't say that I feel sorry for him. I don't want anyone to suffer or die, but this man contributed to the breakdown of my marriage, the loss of a boy to a father, the dissolution of his own marriage, and the absence of a strong father figure for a daughter. I'm only here to support Sherry as she makes her decision about what to do with her life after this. I'm willing to try and work with her if she chose to do so, and I also totally support her decision to move back south to be with her family. My ex-girlfriend. I hear she's dating someone now, so I guess there were a few males in the background, which is a harsh reality check for me. I have no idea who I was even married to. Holy hell, but it seems like I had the situational awareness of a drunken baby, or maybe I was wearing blinders. That's part of the reason I'm not staying in my stepson's life. I'll never be able to get over the drama, and I'd be forced to watch helplessly as her bad choices keep making his life worse and worse. Bro, I have severe concerns that she will ever change. I hope she grows up and that her therapy helps her think responsibly. If a 6-year marriage didn't make her more civilized, I doubt a therapy will either. I'm still not sure what went wrong. I try not to ever make her feel unwanted or unloved, and I'm a good listener, caregiver, and tidy up after myself. I had a wonderful relationship with her parents. I reared her child, and I assisted her aunts and uncles with house repairs. It wasn't as though there was tension in my interactions with her family, because my family loved and embraced her and her son from the beginning. Her father and I used to go out for beers and watch the game together without her. I suppose there were sexual problems, but our marriage wasn't quite without sex. Although there were some issues regarding dominance, we should have communicated better there, but I felt like we had enough to handle it. As it happens, the romance was only a terrible delusion. This is going to be my final update. I wish I had something happier to wrap up on. If you're wondering what I want to do with my life following this occurrence with Max, there are essentially 2 possibilities that I will pursue. Sherry has been a rock for me the entire time, so I can't fathom myself abandoning her in the thick of this. Choice 1. I'll kiss Sherry farewell and send her on her way if she wishes to return to her home state after this is over. I don't see my future there. No offense to that state. We'll talk it over, and I might look into the area to see if I'm misjudging it if she wants me to go with her. She makes me joyful because she embodies what a devoted spouse should feel like. I want her to be making decisions that are best for her and her daughter without my influence. Therefore, I won't tell her how much she means to me. I will let her know how I feel, and we can proceed if she tells me throughout our conversation that she loves me and wants to give us a real chance. Not to come out as morbid, but if Max doesn't recover, we're both heading out of the state. Choice 2. The answer is simpler if Sherry and I decide not to continue our relationship. I've been missing friends and relatives on the West Coast, and there are more prospects for me to progress in my job. I could actually go back and find myself again and build a life for myself. To be really honest, I think I'll probably do this. Return to surfing, maintain my physical fitness, meet someone who will genuinely love me, begin a family. The opportunities are unlimited. Sherry, who has never gone out west before, expressed some curiosity in making a move of that kind when I brought this up to her. I'd be delighted to date her for a few months before deciding to take that step, but it would be a big undertaking if the love and willingness are there. Choice 3. I could just stay here and advance up the ladder at work. Now that nothing is stopping me from doing that, I forgot number 3. Right now, I work in the manufacturing sector as a floor supervisor for quality control. The majority of men who have been here for as long as I have already gone corporate and taken desk jobs, and that ought to have included me as well. However, they needed a night supervisor, and I was unable to accept the job previously due to family obligations. I could just stay here and make things work, find myself another girlfriend, or should Sherry decide to stay, try to get serious with her. In addition, I'm researching my illness to see if any progress has been achieved. Perhaps there's a way for me to have kids of my own right now without worrying about carrying anything on. Who knows? I haven't given it much thought in over 10 years. I want to thank you all again for your encouragement and remarks. I would be lying if I claimed I didn't feel optimistic about it, because this is just the beginning of a lifelong journey, but life must move on. If you enjoy this type of content and would like to see more of it, support the channel Feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications.